What's going on, everyone? It's Jack here, and today I'm going to be doing a reaction video. I know it has been a long time since I made a video, but today I am going to do another reaction video on a YouTuber that I love so much, called The Odd Ones Out. I love this YouTuber so much. Yeah, so this video is a little bit old, but yeah, it's just the fact is I couldn't didn't want to watch the latest one, and that's because I already seen it, and if I was going to watch it again, then it would have been a fake reaction, and I don't like doing fake reactions. So today I am going to be reacting to my pottery teacher. So yeah, let's get into it, shall we?
I'll take school facts for 800, Alex. This is the most useless class that a person could take in school. Oh man. What is poetry? I'm sorry, Jeff, but the correct answer is all of them. They're all useless. In my first video, I didn't have enough time.
God, that is so true. They are all so useless. Like, why do we need to learn history? You know, like, I guess some of them can be useful, like English and maths, but most of the things they teach in English and maths, we don't need. Like, they could have made maths and English so much more useful, but they just haven't. And I don't know why. You know, like geography, history, like those are pointless classes. We don't need them.
To say this, but I hate it when people are cool with their teachers. I understand that some teachers are more laid back than others, and sometimes they'll ask the class, so how was everyone's weekend? Then if you want to talk about something or have important news, then you can share it. My dog died. Yeah, they do that. But there's a line and you shouldn't cross it. Don't talk to your teacher just to talk to them during class. I don't know how much of a problem this is in other places of the world, but sometimes there would be kids in my class that would say, "Hey Susan, how was your daughter's dance recital? Did you remember all of her moves? I saw the video you posted on Facebook. It looked like she was having a fun time." Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Maybe I wouldn't.
I've actually never experienced that. Yeah, I don't know, have I? No, I don't actually think I've ever actually experienced that. Oh god, that reaction. I'm sorry, I have to see that again.
Facebook, it looked like she was having a fun time. Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Maybe I wouldn't have been a good teacher. Before I tell you about my poetry teacher, I need to tell you about the preparatory school I went to so you can better understand where I'm coming from. So I went to a preparatory school in 9th grade, and first off, what is a preparatory school?
Yeah,
Google says it's a private school that prepares students for college. Now, hearing that definition, you might think, wait, don't all schools prepare students for college?
Yeah.
Isn't that a school's job? And you might think that a preparatory school is more fancy and made out of marble and all the kids come from rich families. No. What it means is that the schools get little government funding and parents have to pay for desks and the teacher's salary. I know different private schools will vary depending on how rich the parents are. I'm sure that school made out of marble exists somewhere, but the preparatory school I went to was relatively worse than a normal public school. The school I went to didn't even have desks. They had fold-up tables and the chairs were fold-up too. How did they? Oh. Well, now I know where all the budget went. The main difference between a public school and a prep school is that a prep school is smaller and there's a uniform and there's lockers. So why did my twin sister and I attend a preparatory school? Because twins have superpowers and we need to go to a special school to enhance our abilities. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. That'd be cool though. We went because when we were starting our freshman year, our older brother was a senior and he was already attending this preparatory school, and my mom didn't want to have to drive to 2 high schools to pick us up. We already had a carpool in place. You can't just mess with the carpool. And me and my sister didn't know what to expect from a public high school. We've never been. We thought we'd get bullied or something. Boy, I feel like picking on someone today. Yeah, sure, we can go to a prep school. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Well, the carpool we had made it so we would arrive at the school super early before everyone else, and we'd be picked up from the school super late. And also, because it was a prep school, they gave out a stupid amount of homework. I remember breaking up the homework into pieces. Okay, it was a prep school, they gave out a stupid amount of homework.
I don't get the 8 being turned like that. Like, that is probably a joke somewhere. I just can't really see it well. Am I just being thick? Can you please tell me what that 2-8 joke thing is? Because I might just be being thick, but I actually don't understand that at all. Anyway.
I remember breaking up the homework into pieces, like, okay, I can do the geometry while I'm waiting for school to start, the biology homework I can do during geometry class, and I have choir after lunch, so I can just do this during lunch. Yeah. Look at me being responsible. I have a little sister who just finished her freshman year in a public high school, and she thinks it was so hard. Oh, you thought your 9th grade was hard? Try doing twice the amount of homework and wear the same pants every day. So now the only question remaining is, why did my older brother go to a prep school in the first place? Bro, why did you go to a prep school in the first place? IDK just decided to. Just felt like I should. My mom reads my scripts, and she told me that he went to a prep school because one of his friends said that there were cute girls at the school, so he decided to stay there for 4 years. Okay, now let's talk about my poetry teacher. Okay. I'll call him Mr. Poe, because that's short for poetry. Poetry wasn't even an elective class. Every freshman was required to take it, and surprisingly, poetry was only the second most useless class you took at the school. The sophomores took a class on Latin, you know, that dead language that no one speaks. Yeah. So Mr. Poe, I don't want to judge him too hard. I don't know how he was like outside of...
That's actually another thing as well. I never understood, you know, people teaching that language, because, you know, no one speaks it anymore. So why do they need it to teach to us? I don't get it at all.
Of school, but just picking up the vibes I got from him as a...
I missed that.
Judge him too hard. I don't know how he was like outside of school.
Playing Beyblades. Oh my god.
But just picking up the vibes I got from him as a 14-year-old, I think he was depressed. I mean, to be fair, anyone who likes poetry probably has something wrong in their head. But Mr. Poe just seemed sad all the time. Every single day he would start the class by saying, "It's the best day ever." Which, if you think about it, saying that every day only means that the days are going to get better and better, which is sort of poetic. But I think Mr. Poe was lying to himself. Also, Mr. Poe really liked anacondas. I mean, snakes. He really liked snakes. Sometimes he would go off on tangents talking about snakes. Royal pythons, also called American ball python, got their name because they turn into a ball when they get nervous. Also, did you know that snakes have two... Never mind. Sometimes in class we'd be analyzing poetry, and...
If you didn't get that, they have two, wangs, let's say. Yeah. Anyway.
Mr. Poe told us that every single word in a poem was important. The poet didn't have to use the word the, but they did. What did they mean? Sometimes we would spend days...
If you don't get that that's from SpongeBob, you know, that clip has become a meme, so I'm pretty sure 9 out of the 10 people watching this do get the meme, but if you don't, that's where it's from.
Analyzing a single poem, taking notes and talking about what we thought the poet meant. One time a poem we were reading had someone talking, so there were quotation marks at the start of the sentence, but there weren't quotation marks at the end. The poet forgot to put end quotes. I remember noticing it and thinking, aha! A clue! Mr. Poe, I just made a breaking discovery. There's no end quotes here, meaning that the whole rest of this poem is told by this character. And Mr. Poe said, oh no, that's just a typo. Well, frickin', why am I perfectly nitpicking this piece when the poet purposely put poor punctuation in his poems? Pterodactyl! This is gonna sound off topic, but do you guys know what lateral thinking puzzles are? Lateral thinking puzzles are sort of like...
Oh my god. Why does that sound like something... Why does that sound like something I would do? Like, see like a typo like that and be like, aha! Just like, come up with like this whole, like, theory. And it's just like, no, it's actually just a typo. It's like, oh, well, frick me then, am I right?
Riddles, but more stupid. You're given a strange situation with little information.
Sorry,
puzzles are pterodactyl. This is going to sound off topic. The poet purposely put poor punctuation in his poems. Pterodactyl! This is going to sound off topic, but do you guys know
Oh,
what
yeah.
lateral thinking
Kinda.
puzzles are? Lateral thinking puzzles are sort of like riddles, but more stupid. You're given a strange situation with little information, and you have to ask the person who told you the puzzle yes or no questions to get the answer. My favorite lateral thinking puzzle is this because it's so stupid. A man goes into a restaurant, orders albatross, eats one bite, and then jumps off a bridge. Why? Now, normally, if we were playing legitly, you would ask me yes or no questions like, was the man in a relationship? And I would answer them saying, well, not anymore. The explanation is this. I'm not going to read it out because it's super long and complicated, but you can read it if you want.
Oh, I was going to read that.
Explanation is this. I'm not going to read it out because it's super long and complicated, but you can read it if you want.
The man, his wife, and some other third person. I'll name Hunter. We're shipwrecked on a deserted island. Oh, fuck it. I'm not reading
Well,
it.
Mr. Poe also liked to tell these lateral thinking puzzles, but his solutions were more dumber. One of the puzzles he told the class was, you're trapped in a restaurant, how do you get out? Now, I can think of like 5 solutions right off the top of my head. Okay, through the door, through a window, use a crowbar if it's locked. There's probably a sharp knife to cut through a wall, or you can dig a hole under everything with a spoon. But it was actually none of those answers. So, how do you get out of a restaurant you're trapped in? You get an education. Okay, let me explain. You're trapped in a restaurant because you're a waiter. That's your job. And to get out of the restaurant, you need to get a good education so you can get a better job. Kind of like how I was able to quit my job in the food industry by getting an education. It's funny because he dropped out of college. So the class got the answer to that riddle, but Mr. Poe told us another riddle and we never figured that one out. And that riddle is, anyone can dig a ditch, but it takes a real man to blank. Given that the answer to the first riddle was education, the answer to this could be anything. I really wanted to know the answer to this riddle, so I googled it hoping that Mr. Poe just stole it from the internet, and I found this song, anyone can dig a hole close enough to a ditch, but it takes a real man to call it home. Which sounds poetic enough. Let's see if the song gives us any more clues. Mr. Poe, I didn't know you were into this sort of stuff. So I wish I could give you the answer, but I don't have one. Feel free to guess what you think the answer is and give your reasoning in the comments. That'll be fun to read. But I will say the answer that I did come up with that I think makes the most sense. Anyone can dig a ditch, but it takes a real man to hide the body. Poetry was dumb, but at least I learned something. How to write haikus. Honestly, I'm glad I took a poetry class. At least it's not French. Mr. Poe, teacher, if you're somehow watching this, thanks for teaching me stuff. I need to give a big thanks to my friend Cypherden who helped color some of the pictures. She's a pretty cool dude, you should check her out. I never figured out the solution to that riddle. I guess I'm not a real man. Mr. Poe, if you're watching, I'm sorry I called you depressed. You just always sounded tired and annoyed. Well, okay, I probably sounded exactly the same when I was in your class. But honestly, Mr. Poe, it was a great class, okay? It was way better than French. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm excited for VidCon, and I hope to see you there, and wear your seatbelt. That rhymed, sorta, and it's ironic, because this is about poetry.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Oh, God. Yeah. That's, so, yeah. I bet you poetry would probably, I would probably would say that poetry would be better than French. Yeah. Because learning another language is completely hard. Anyway, so that's the end of the video, guys. Make sure you like the video. I'm going to actually do that right now. There we go. Make sure you like this video. Click on the notification bell. Subscribe and click on the notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video. So probably in like 3 months from now. Bye!